there's people out there still struggling. So I will say it's not easy getting up 4 o'clock in the morning every day. It's not easy saying no to everything, because I do say no to a lot of things now. And it's not easy to just stay out of, like, miss things, but it's okay. And I think that when you get to that point in life, you're gonna be on your way.
Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of All Things with Chanae Lavette. I am your girl, Chanae Lavette, and y'all, I am so excited for our guest today. She is a lifestyle expert, a fashion expert, a business expert. She is the Chief Impact Officer at Kith and the visionary behind Envision Fest. Please welcome Miss Sharifa Murdock to the show.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Sharifa, I'm great because you're here. And I'm so grateful that you reached out to actually participate and join us, because that alone for me speaks volumes. Like, I feel like oftentimes, especially when you're in a space of starting up or trying something new, all it takes is one person to like turn around and say, hey, let me help you. Let me see you, right?
Of course.
And that is something I feel like you stand for. Yeah. And so I'm so happy to have you here. And we're going to get into a lot of things. But the first thing I want to talk about with you deals with wellness and fitness.
Of course.
Right? Because that was our initial
connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I need to know, from a woman who does it all, right? So you are C-suite level in terms of at a major company. You also have this amazing company that you've started, that you oversee. Where does your personal wellness fit in there?
I think my personal wellness is my first priority. I think I know for sure, like, in order for me to do all of the things that I do, I have to take care of myself first. Yeah. And it is like my number one priority, and it's the first thing I do in the morning. And that's how I'm able to accomplish all the goals and all the things that I want to do, is because I have a mindset. We were talking earlier, like, I've been here for 2 days and I haven't worked out, and it has me out of whack. It really has me like in a different mindset, because I'm so used to one thing. I get up very early in the morning. I make sure that I stay on schedule, because once I stay on schedule, everything goes great. Once I go off schedule, it feels like it's not the same. Have you ever had that experience?
All the time. Especially when I travel or I do something outside of the routine. I'm not good at adjusting in terms of, okay, I'm out of town now, so how do I maneuver? And you travel a lot, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, well, first off, let's rewind a little bit, because you said you start in the morning. Yeah. So what time do you normally wake up?
I normally wake up at 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
Yes.
Wait, did y'all hear that? 4 a.m. You want to get it done?
It sounds insane, but it's also because I do live far. Like, I live in New Jersey, but I also work in Brooklyn. But it makes me have a routine. Like I said, if I know I have to be up at 4, I'm not going to sleep at 12, right? That's just impossible. But I wake up at 4, I'm out of my house by 5 with my son, who's 2. Shout out to Legend. And we go to the daycare. I drop him off at daycare by 6:30. And then from that point on, it's about me. No one's calling me at that early except for my mom and my sister. We have our girls group chat on while I'm driving into the office, and then I hang up with them, and I give myself 2 hours for only me. So I don't schedule anything between the hours of 7 and like 9, because that's about me.
That sounds to me like you're very intentional.
Yeah.
Very intentional. And I think what I have found in my weight loss journey or my health journey is that I had to start being intentional about my efforts and my time, because otherwise you'll get caught up with the day.
But that's also like, that's what was happening with me, and that's how I started to become more intentional and also develop this sense of like being. Because I think as you get older, you start to realize all the things that you used to worry about, all the things that you were rushing around about, it's no longer important, right? And especially after you have a child, it's like, okay, really and truly, none of those things matter.
Right.
What I realized is I needed to make sure that I was okay. And I was trying to do too much. And people still think I do a lot, but I was doing way more before, and it wasn't benefiting me. It was making me tired. I was dragging. I was going to the gym. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see. I was going to the gym, but if I'm eating poorly, it doesn't help, right? So I was like really and truly not doing things in the right manner for myself. And as once I had my son, I was just like, enough. And when I say enough is enough, enough is enough. Like I needed to cut a lot of things, and not only food, I needed to cut people. I needed to cut the things that I do, certain things that I'm just not gonna do anymore. Like I was this girl that, wanted to make sure everyone was happy and wanted to make sure that you'll call it like a people pleaser, basically. Yeah. And it wasn't an intentional, like I want to please people. It's more of something that I think we develop as we become young women, right? You're around certain people and you see you get this excitement when you're able to do things for people. But when it's not reciprocated, that excitement kind of burns. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Completely.
So all of those things add up together. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
And I came to a point in my life when I want to be more healthy. I want to be more about me. I want to shed like that weight, and not even weight on your body, just that weight that you're carrying about other people's situations, other people's things, work things. Yep. All of these things are a part of you. It becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to shed that.
And you touched on something so important that sometimes people can think that your health journey or your wellness journey looks like physically losing weight.
Yeah.
When the reality is, it's so much more
than that. It's bigger than that. It's bigger. It's about you really coming to surface with who are you as an individual and who you want to be as an individual. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
That is the question that people really answer very frivolously, right? What makes me happy today as Sharifa Murdock is being a great mom, being in a great mind space to be able to deal with everyday issues, and also being a great wife, but also taking care of myself.
Right.
That's the number one priority. I can't do anything without taking care of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I intentionally started here, right? Because I'm sure you do interviews all the time. You talk about Kith, you talk about Envision, but all those things that you do in those areas cannot exist without you prioritizing your well-being.
Yeah, and it's so funny you start there because no one ever asks you that.
Yeah.
They always want to know about the business and what you're doing and your everyday, your glam and your this and your that, and it's like all those things mean nothing unless I'm okay. Yeah. And so I do thank you for even taking the time out to make sure someone like me is okay, because that's important.
Yeah, it is, because I know what it's done to my life, right? It's changed my life when because I look at you and I look at you as an inspiration to me, right? A woman who wears multiple hats, do multiple things, also has a heart for service. Those are all things that I value as well.
Yeah.
But I realized in my efforts of trying to do this, do that, I was neglecting how I was feeling.
100%.
So now I'm waking up 4:30 in the morning, making it to the gym, prioritizing, doing those things. And you know what else I think I did for myself is I just made it like a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Same here. It's not an option for me not to do it, guys.
No, exactly. It's funny. A friend, when I was packing my bag recently, they was like, why are you taking all these gym clothes? It's like, because I'm going to the gym. I got to go to the gym. I cannot not go. And they're like, well, if I'm you, I'll take out the gym clothes. And I'm like, I'm not taking out the gym. I would literally pack 3 bags before I take out my gym clothes.
Yep.
And that's exactly what has happened.
Good. Right? I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm happy that we're sharing it, because I think high functioning professional women, we need to talk about this conversation more and more.
Yeah.
Because at least in my career, so in my career, I'm an attorney.
Yes.
And the suicidal rate amongst attorneys is crazy. And so I don't want to be in a position where I'm doing all these things, but I'm neglecting my well-being, because my son needs me. My family needs me. Like, your son needs you.
Yeah.
Your husband needs you.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important that my priorities are in order, sis.
Yeah, exactly. And I think something you said just now is it's about being vulnerable, number one, right? And it's about knowing what you want for yourself. But it's also not easy because I think it comes in time. I don't want to make this conversation seem like it's so frivolous and it's easy to do what we do, because it's not. You have to come to a space in your mind that you're going to put yourself first.
That's good.
Right? And I think that that's what I want to really stress. It's not something, there are people out there struggling with so many other things that they can't get there yet. So I do want to say it's about, like, I write a lot of things down. I love writing. I started like journaling more. Bullet journaling is my thing. And just like really understanding the things that I like as an individual. And I'm older, right? So just imagine it took me this long to get here. There's people out there still struggling. So I will say it's not easy getting up 4 o'clock in the morning every day. It's not easy saying no to everything, because I do say no to a lot of things now. And it's not easy to just stay out of, like, miss things, but it's okay. And I think that when you get to that point in life, you're gonna be on your way.
Hey friend, I want to pause for a second just to thank you for being here. But there is a chance that you're here and not subscribed. So go ahead and click on that button for me. I'd really appreciate it. But that's really not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to ask you a question. Are you ready to start this year with passion, purpose, and an unstoppable vision? Then I want you to join me at Envision Me Conference 2025, taking place January 10th through 12th at the luxurious Del Mar Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So picture this. You are surrounded by like-minded souls, all engaged in empowering workshops and being inspired by power-pack speakers. Sis, at Envision Me Conference 2025, we are making the whole woman whole. That's mind, body, and spirit. So whether you are considering doing a career move, or you need some help crushing those wellness goals, or maybe you just need some good old soul care, Envision Me Conference has exactly what you need. And I want you to run, don't walk. I want you to beat me there, don't meet me there, at Envision Me Conference 2025. Tickets are on sale right now, but I don't want you to think of this as any old ticket. I want you to think of it as an investment in your future, because the vision that God gave you depends on it. Let's get to them goals together. Visit envisionmeconference.com to purchase your ticket today. Now, back to the show. Yeah.
I want to really, really stress that, because I think so many times it's like, when we're on social, you see all these girls and they're working out and they're like, all you got to do is this. And it's like,
it's not that simple, girl.
It ain't that easy, right? And I know a lot of people, I know personally a lot of people that struggle with it. And it's just like, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
So
and I'm glad you said that. And I think that speaks to your heart, right? Like your ability to recognize, like, you know what? I'm in this position and I may be able to do this, but that doesn't necessarily mean somebody else can.
No.
So, which brings me to another area that I want to touch on, which is your acts of service, your ability to think outside of just your well-being.
Yeah.
So, tell me, where did that stem from? Was it you always?
It's twofold, right? I grew up in New York, like you may know. I born and raised in Brooklyn with Caribbean parents. And I worked my butt off. Like you said, I worked my ass off. Like I was that girl working in the local grocery store, Key Food. I was that girl working in McDonald's. I wanted to be in fashion, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. Back then it was like, you're a designer or you're a buyer. And I was like, I guess I'll go to school for buying, right? School was not my jam. Like I was just not great at it. I found out that I had dyslexia by the time I got to college. And they didn't have the things and the tools that they have today, which I think is amazing. Like I just continued on life, right? I found a job and then I found a mentor. And that mentor really showed me who I was as a working individual. That mentor said to me, like, I see something in you that I honestly didn't even see in myself. And because of that, it really pushed me to look back and bring people forward.
Love it.
Right? Because like I thought about that. Like I was like, okay, this person, this individual, this man did this for me. Who's gonna do it for the 3,000 other young girls that look like Sharifa? And I've always thought like that ever since I've gotten my first job. And it was more about trying to figure out how we can help everybody. I've always been that individual. I wanted all my friends together. I want people to come together. I'm like that girl.
Yeah.
But what I realized is you can do it in a different way, and you can spin it in a more positive way. Instead of bringing all my friends together, we can all hang out, but I want to bring all these young girls together and show them other young women that look like them, that are successful. Because so many times we don't see us, right? You don't see us on TV. You don't see us on half of these magazines. You see 1 or 2 or 3, but you're not seeing us flooded like you see everyone else. And I wanted them to be able to see us. Yeah. And that's always been my mission, is how do I help young girls and young women of color, young femmes. I just want to help young people understand that their value is more than what they expect.
Yeah, and I think it's so special that you have targeted a demographic that really is overlooked.
Yes, it's always. I think because a lot of major companies feel like because Gen Z don't have money now, that doesn't mean that they can't spend their parents' money. Yeah. I don't think they realize that, because like they're always trying to target us, right? And it's like, we're not buying half the stuff that y'all selling, right? At the end of the day, we aren't. We are well aware that we need to start saving our money, and we need to like buy houses and do the things that we need to do, travel the world, whatever. Right. Gen Z and Gen Alpha right now are the kids that are like coming up, and they're the kids that are wanting all the cool things. And those are the kids that if you start them at a young age, you can develop them into your brand. A lot of brands don't look at it like that. They're like, oh, we want immediate gratification. I've always been taught that the slow burn is the slow roll. Yeah. Like, we can get somewhere, but you gotta walk, you know, before you run. Yeah. I think brands today don't pay attention to that. They want immediate gratification. And it's like the immediate gratification is great today, but it's not a long-term deal. Right. I'm in for it for the long term.
And it's so important, because even when I think about, so we have that connection, right? We noticed this when we first met, and I was like, oh, I'm hosting this conference called Envision Me Conference. And you were like, well, I have Envision Fest. So I guess there is this, we automatically aligned in that alone. But Envision Me, when I created it, I intentionally created it for women similarly situated, I would say, to myself, because something I realized when I was pregnant, I wanted to have a girl so bad.
Oh my God, me too.
Okay, twinsies. Listen, I was convinced I was about to have a girl, because I'm a girl's girl,
me
right?
Too.
And I just knew, baby, I'm gonna raise this good girl. I know it. And then I found out I had my son, and it was a little shocker, like, because I was singing Prince, Most Beautiful Girl to him, like all the things. So during that process, in hindsight, I look back and I said, you know what? I'm glad I didn't, because I don't believe that I was healed enough to raise a girl.
See, it's so funny you say that. When I found out I was having a boy, I was like, oh my God, all this work I done did. You know, it took me a while to have my son. I'm very open about it, right? I think we should, as brown girls, be open about it. It took me like at least 10 years to have my son, right? Just because I had a lot of problems. But I was like, I just knew I was gonna have a girl. I'm a girl's girl too. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a girl. But once he came, it was like, wait a minute, maybe I'm not a girl's girl. Maybe I am the girl. Like, I love this little boy. So and much. Now, oh my God, it's even fun. It's so much more funner, like just dealing with him.
Okay, so let's explore that a little bit more. You mentioned that it took you a while in the process to have your son. And I think in general, maybe we don't talk about that enough, because, and I probably even take it for granted with my son, because people keep asking me, oh, when you gonna have another baby? And I'm like, I don't know when, maybe, we'll see. Yeah. So share with me like just the process and how does that work?
I think for us as brown girls, I think something that's super important to know is like, everyone doesn't get pregnant in like quick time, right? I think growing up, it's like you see all these girls pregnant. It's like, oh, it's gonna be super easy. Well, it wasn't. Like, I had to like go through so many different experiences. I had to go through my like fibroids that no one told you about. You have to go check on your eggs that no one told you about. All of these little things to have a baby, and I wanted a baby very, very badly, right? So I think that I want to make sure that I'm always very transparent with people and say, listen, if you're young, even when you're young, right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't know if you want to have a child, if your job is saying that they'll freeze your eggs automatically. Just because the older you get, the less eggs you get. I didn't know that. No one had this conversation with me. Also, if you're going to freeze your eggs, you get the younger egg, not the older egg. No one told me that after 35, you're considered a geriatric pregnancy.
Really? I didn't know that myself.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. And when you go to the hospital, it's like they start scaring you with all of the things that could happen. So all I would say is like, make sure that you have those type of open conversations, and even have it with your girlfriends. Like, I'm very transparent on my process and the amount of times I had to do IVF or IUIs, right? And I think that we need to have those conversations more openly. I thank God, and I'm so happy to have my son here with me, and I would never change nothing for the world.
He's such a cutie.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thank you. And I'm happy about that, but I do think that young women should have that conversation, and there's no rush. I would never tell you, have a baby young, because no, you're not ready. I wasn't ready.
Right.
But I will say, take the measures that you do need to take to prepare yourself for when you are ready to have that family that you want to build, just because no one sat and had the conversation with me, and I don't think any of us is having those conversations, you know?
Right.
So that's something that I just want to make sure I like preface in our conversation. You know, we're talking about health. That's one of the things. You don't know at 20 that you want to have a baby, but at 30, 35, when you are ready, just protect yourself and make sure that your body is ready to have a baby.
And that's why, like, when it comes down to wellness in general, people don't realize like what our foods may do to us. You know, you just don't know.
But it's also like, I feel like we were like lied to in a way, right? Because it's like when you were younger, I don't know if you remember these commercials, like milk does the body good, right? And it's like, now it's like, okay, now almond milk is it. And now it's oat milk is what's going on. And it's just like you were told these things and you believed it. And now it's like everything is incorrect of what they taught you. So I do think in the whole transparency of being in talking about wellness and speaking about wellness, we need to make sure that we are putting those things at the forefront, especially for women, and especially for women of color, because we suffer from so many other things, right? Let's not talk about the stress that we go through every day of just being a Black woman, but just making sure that you take care of yourself. That's why this podcast for me, and just being able to be on here with you, is so imperative. Because what you are doing is showing the strength and showing the information, and you're showing the realness of wellness. I think that that's what's so important to stress in our conversations. Me
too. I completely agree. Considering that you have accomplished, done so much, traveled, is there something that's still on, I don't know, something that you're like, you know what, I want to do that one day? Like, for me personally, it's like I got this little dream in my mind. I want to see myself on a billboard. Like, I want to model or something for Savage Fenty. Like, I do. Yes.
Really? Okay.
Well, maybe not Savage Fenty, Savage Beauty.
Okay.
Fenty Beauty rather. Let me get the brand right. Look at me all saying it incorrect.
It's all right.
So yes.
She knows you.
She know what I'm talking about. That is like my little thing in the back of my mind. I'm like.
So it depends on what categories we're talking about, because there's always something, right?
Yeah.
In the family category, you're gonna laugh at this. I dream of being able to take my son to school in the morning and being ahead of the PTA at the school. I love an organization of a party and any kind of fundraiser, so that would be that.
First off, pause there, because you as PTA president would be really, the kids' school.
I love it.
I want to be part of this kids' school to have you as the PTA president.
I want.
The events and such that the kids gonna have.
I love it. I would live for that. From a business perspective, My only goal is to open a Envision building. And this Envision building would be like a building. You know how you used to go to rec centers when you were younger? This is going to be beyond the rec center. I want young people to see what they could be in the future tense. Not like, just because I live in this kind of building and this kind of housing, this is what I get.
Yeah.
Elevate that and just keep elevating it for them. But it being a space where they feel safe and they can just have fun and be kids. I don't think kids are kids these days. I think kids got so many other things that they're worrying about and running around trying to do and trying to be. I want them to come in, take a dance class, learn how to swim, learn how to play pickleball and have those conversations about pickleball before somebody else tell you about pickleball, right? I want these kids to learn the AI. I want them to learn all these things in my Envision building. And I want to have an after school program.
That's exciting.
Yeah, those are my goals.
I like that. Okay, I was thinking something like, far-fetched, but that's not far-fetched.
No, it's not.
That's
and it's going to happen.
And yeah, that's very
in all of my philanthropic efforts, I want to be able to invest in Black brands. I think I've sat in an office where I've seen so much amazing things come out of Kith. I want to see that for our people too.
Yeah.
You know, I think what Ronnie has been able to build with Kith has been phenomenal. And I think that I want to see other young people thrive like that. And I
believe it.
Fully.
Like I see it all over you. Like it just exudes. Like this is gonna happen.
You know how many amazing designers there are out there?
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
Oh, look, I'm excited for you. I want all things. I want to see it all. But this is that's good stuff because I feel like it's important for us to still keep envisioning.
Yeah.
Right?
We always.
Always.
We are always envisioning. You're going to laugh. I walk around with a notebook and I'm always jotting and drawing. I draw out layouts for a house I don't have yet. It's so funny. I drew a layout of a house a couple years ago. If I show it to you, it's the house that I live in today. It's the most insane thing. I draw out layouts for everything that I'm going to do. I make little vision boards for things that I'm going to do. And honestly, they all come to fruition in some way, shape, or form.
I have the same experience with journaling.
Yeah.
I write down almost everything. I look at my journals from 10 years ago, and I'm claiming it. I wrote something down maybe October 2014, and I said, God, I can't wait till through my testimony and my weight loss journey, I'm going to impact millions of women.
And you are.
And it blew my mind. Yeah, because social media has allowed me to extend to so many girls. And the DMs that I get it fuels me. It makes me know this is why I struggled with my body image and my weight for all those years. Because now I need to help the next girl to get out of what could be the end of her.
Yeah. But I also want to stress again, you can be 200 pounds, you can be 150 pounds. It's all in your mind. Yeah. Right? And it's all in your heart on what you want to be for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think that me at 150 or 140 and me or at 180 I'm the same Sharifa. And it's all in what you want to pour back into yourself. And yourself comes first. I always say it's me, family, philanthropy. Those are my basis of my life. And as long as I stick within those three categories, I'll be all right. I think for people, what works for me is putting yourselves in three buckets. What's important to you, right? Myself, as my wellness and my being is very important. Family, friends, those are important to me, right? And then philanthropy, being able to give back to my community. Those are the three things that I build on, and those are the three things that I stress on and I sit on. And I don't deter from those things.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why you're able to succeed.
Yeah.
Because you know.
I know my buckets.
Yeah.
Those are my buckets. I can't do anything outside of those buckets. Somebody say to me, can you go out? Going out is my bedtime is at 8, 9 o'clock. It's I can't go out. And I don't want to. And that's the best thing about also growing up is I don't have FOMO.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I love the way my life is right now, and it's just in a good space, and I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm looking forward to all the greatness for everyone and all the things that's going to happen around me.
And I'm looking forward to seeing it, okay?
Listen, I'm looking forward to seeing all this, I knew from the time I met you, I knew that you had a light, and I know that this is going to be powerful for you. And I do think that there's some really great news coming out soon that you may not want to talk about.
Your girl have been named partner at my law firm. I am so excited. It is something that I have desired for so long. And I was very intentional about this. I knew I wanted it. I wrote it down in my journal. And 6 years later, it has come to fruition. What normally would take 8 years took me 6. And I'm so, so proud of that. But I know ultimately it's because God had me and God worked through me, right? And so, yeah, I'm excited. Let me go ahead and brag about me. Now, back to the episode. What you're doing is so important in terms of helping our young girls because it's such an impressionable age, right? Yeah. But then I find older women who are still sometimes broken, hurt. So it's like, how could you truly mentor if you aren't healed yourself? Yeah. So for my efforts, I've felt like, my idea with Envisioning Conference is that I'm intending on making the whole woman whole, right? Yes. That's the intent because if we are to come back and help our girls, I need to be pouring into her, not my bitterness, my hurt. Of course, I need to pour into her that life. Yeah. So it's so important that we have platforms in these spaces to fill all the gaps.
And they also complement each other, right? Like my girl is going to be your girl at some point in life. And I think that if we continue to build these platforms, they can go from one thing to another and understand that they're the same, but they're also different. Yeah. So I definitely see it.
I love that. I didn't even think about that, but that's so true. It's like building a pipeline.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's why, for me, I always say like I'm a girl's girl through and through intentionally because for one, I'm so confident in what God has for me that nothing in my mind would think like, oh, if I help this girl out, it's gonna
back. I'm the same way. It's so funny. A lot of people always like, Sharifa, you're too nice. And I'm like, here goes the thing. If I don't do it, who is? Right. Right? And also it's like you said, what God has in plan for you is for you. I don't think that if I give another person a hand up, that it's gonna destroy anything that I've done. I've noticed in life, if you give a person a hand up, it will come back full fold, like circle. And I want to always tell young people this because I think so many times, you go for a job and they want to be the one of and the one this. And I'm like, no, that day and age is over. We all can rise. Yeah. We all can rise. There could be 300 podcasts and all of them could be different. There's so many different companies, we need to start coming together and building like a unit instead of like looking at each other like we're competition. That competition day is over. And I always stress that. Like I don't compete. I have no energy to compete. There's nothing to compete. I want to solve a problem. Yeah. And the problem is if we can come together, we can be so much stronger together.
And that's why your efforts are so, I just keep saying it because it's so important for that reason. You taught me something. Our first just encounter, right? Yeah. Was through Clark. He connected us, and we both have a love for Girl Power Rocks.
Shout out to Girl Power Rocks.
Shout out to Girl Power, which is why you're here in town in Miami for the fashion show. But we met that one time with Clark. I always take any call. Anytime Clark tells me to reach out to somebody, I do it because he just know good people. Yeah. And so when I reached out to you, it was simply I didn't have any intention.
No, we just literally were talking.
Yeah, was talking. Yeah. But at the end of the conversation, you said, okay, so what can I do for you? And it threw me off because no one had ever asked me that, right?
Really?
No. Yeah. And you made it very easy, even if I wanted to ask for something, I guess. Yeah. But in my mind at that time, I didn't have nothing. So I'm like, I was like, I really was just trying to just see who you were and say hi, but what you need from me? Like, do you need help with weight loss stuff? What do you need? Yeah. But I think if more women do simply just that, right? Yeah. Because the reality is when we are building something, when we are creating conferences and such, you are looking for help. You're looking for sponsorships. You're looking for things. And it's hard enough to say like, oh, can you do this for me? Or but when you take that little edge off to just straight up, so how can I help you? Yeah. Do you need me to come? Like what you offered at that time, because I was working on Envision Me for the first time then.
Yes.
And you said, I can be a speaker.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out because of your husband's birthday.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
when
the same time as that's what it was. And you just mentioned it again.
Yes.
I was like, something's happening at that time.
It's your husband's birthday. But that alone for me, you didn't know me. That was the first encounter. But I just think that we need more of that from women at C-suite level positions, women who have influence and power.
Yes.
More of that.
Yeah, I think you have to go into things with you don't want nothing. I don't want nothing from you. You don't want nothing from me, but we have to start helping each other.
Yeah.
Because if we don't help each other, who will? I'm going to always say that. I always talk to a girl at my job, and she's like, Sharifa, you got to stop saying yes. And I'm like, but if I don't say yes, who will? Who will say yes to them, right? If I'm in a certain space and I'm in a little bit of a power role, I want to contribute my time. If I have the time, I want to contribute my voice because they're looking for that. They need that. Yeah. And I know what it was to not have as well when I was first starting Envision, and people said yes to me. So it's like, and I had nothing when I started Envision. It was crazy, but we worked it out, and people said yes. So I always want to pay that forward.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I feel like that's why your blessings keep rolling.
I mean, listen,
right?
God.
It's like
your lips to God's ears. Come on.
Yeah, like that's just how it works. Like you pay things forward. Speaking of mentorship and what you do in that area, I found myself early on in my career, right, where I was seeking out mentorship crazy. And I just really wanted a Black woman to be my mentor.
Listen.
But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen for me neither. I literally just found my Black woman mentor about a year ago.
Yeah.
Just so you understand, I've never had a Black woman as a mentor. I've always had this one, my mentor, my business partner, my family. He is the one that guided me through business the entire way, and he's not Black and he is Jewish.
Yeah, and so I have a very, very similar experience. Like my mentors in my firm did not look like me, right? White, gay, white woman, like all these things that were not what I was looking for, but yet it was exactly what I needed.
What you needed, and that's how I feel. All the things that we look for, and it's always like everything that you want is not what you need, right? Even when you go shopping, it's like, I want this, I want that, but it's like you don't need it. And as you get older, you start to develop those tools, right? I think it's the same thing on my end. I honestly went into it just working with this guy, and he became a mentor. He became my family, and he guided me. When I say guided me through life, I'm in the positions I'm in today because of that person. Wow. I owe that person my entire gratitude, and I will always make sure I tell him that because I pay homage to him all the time because I'm not the woman in business that I am without him. And it's okay, and I want to tell people out there, I think we all are looking for certain things. Even when you're looking for a boyfriend or a husband, it's like, I want this kind. And it's like, that's not how this works. Yeah. You get what you get, and you have to work it out the way you need to work it out. And when that time comes, I'm now able to have a Black woman mentor because I'm ready for that Black woman mentor. I don't think I would have known what to do, what to say, how to behave around that Black woman, and I might have been a disappointment back then. So I always think that, I've learned where I've learned from, and I take what I have, and I now flip it to the other side for these young girls. So now they can look for me as a mentor. Yeah. And not have to search for that Black woman mentor.
And that's exactly what I felt was what pushed me in this area more was seeing a void and then wanting to fill that void.
100%. Yeah. There's a huge void missing especially in the inner cities with Gen Z and Gen Alpha coming up. There's a void. There are girls that are lost out there. And especially with social media, I think social media is a blessing and it could also be a curse, right? I think so many times no one's telling the stories about how people got there. They see all these amazing things that people have, but no one's telling like, listen, yes, I did work my ass off at McDonald's. Yeah. No one says that. You need to start having those type of conversations for these young people because these young people think you could be at A and get to Z in 2 days. And that's not the way it works. And they're going to be sadly disappointed.
Yeah, especially with content creation.
Oh my God.
All of it.
All of it.
You think that it's this overnight success, 100%. I want to just cover just a few more topics before we wrap. But something I watched another interview that you had done, and you said that you were such a big fan of Oprah.
Oh.
That so it seems like that still stands.
Still stands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it really does.
Oprah's it.
She's the epitome for me.
Yeah.
Right? I just feel like I look at where she came from and all the things that she's gone through and the success she's been able to play in other people's lives. And not just her life, but other people's lives. And I do respect her.
Yeah.
You know?
So you, I'm sure, is somebody else's Oprah.
I mean, I would hope.
Yeah, after all the work that you've been doing with Envision, I know that there's girls that look at you like, Sharifa, like she does all these things. But I want to know, like, God forbid, if something were to happen to you, what do you envision your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be, I'm going to kick it from my mom's side because I always just wanted to have fun and laugh. And you only live once, so fill your heart with joy and happiness. That is what I want my legacy to be. I do a lot of work, but I also don't hesitate on having fun.
Yeah.
I love family. I love my friends. And I always say, I'm only going to be this age today on this date one time. Make every moment count. And I've made every moment of my life count. I've traveled the world. I've seen a lot of things. There are more things that I do need to see. But if, God forbid, something was to happen to me today, I felt good.
That's so amazing.
You know, I want to appreciate what I've had. There's no going back.
Yeah.
I've had some great experiences. And even the bad experiences turned into great experiences, you know? Because you learn from every lesson.
Right. So when we wrap our show, I always have our guests take a look at their camera. Okay. And I want you to talk to, because we've talked about a few subjects today. So let me choose an audience that I'd like you to speak to right now. I want you to speak to the woman who has a heart for service and mentorship, but yet feels discouraged about how do I make an impact. Okay. I want you to give them just a few words of encouragement about how they can actually impact their community.
So speaking to that future woman that wants to impact her community, just do it. It can be something so small as giving a grocery bag to a neighbor to something so big as throwing a festival in the middle of Brooklyn. I want you to just take those steps in doing what you feel is going to bring you joy and is going to help someone else. Don't hesitate and just do it.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
This has been such a good conversation.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it.
This was super easy. I was like waiting for some really hard questions.
No, I just wanted to just chat with you because I think that's what this is about. Yes. I wanted Sharifa casually, like you said, the casual Sharifa. Yes, I love Kith and all the business things that you do. But this is what I believe would be most impactful to the audience.
And valuable. I love that.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank y'all so much for tuning in. This has been an incredible episode. For me, I'm inspired. I hope you are inspired too. Until next time, be well, y'all. And thank you, as always, for tuning in. You were tuned into All Things with Chanae Lavette. I'll see you next time.
Bye.